Hey guys, I know I did a little episode this morning on the way to work, but I figured I'd go ahead and shoot another one out there since I missed yesterday. Anyway, there's a song I've been hearing some on like Christian radio and stuff that is called "I Need a Little Church Right Now." I'm not sure if that's the exact title, and I can't think of who sings it, but you know, part of that song really makes me think quite a bit. It says it's not about the brick walls, it's not about the hard pews, it's not about that torn up parking lot or that steeple on top. Then you say it could be on a dirt road, or you know, basically it could be, church could be anywhere. Church isn't necessarily about, you know, being in a building. And I'm not good at telling people where a scripture is, but there's a verse in the Bible that says, where two or more are gathered together in my name, there I shall be. So, you know, I know a lot of people are like, oh, you gotta be at the church building, you gotta be at the church building. And, you know, you don't necessarily have to be at a building to have church. And because like for me and my wife, we like to get out, you know, in nature or whatever, and get out and spend time in the beauty that God created, and not be burdened by having to make it to a building. God's not just in what people would refer to as a brick and mortar building. We can't limit him to being in that building when he's more than that. God is so much more than just, you know, a thought in your mind. He's the creator of everything, and to limit him to the presence of a building, you know, 2 or 3 times a week, is like you're limiting who he is. And I had my wife had made a post on Facebook one day about how we were enjoying our Sunday out on the lake, and took my boat out on the lake and everything, and we were enjoying the God's creation, and she got a comment on there saying, well, that's not the church. To me, nature is more of a church than a brick building. I I'm more able to see God's greatness when I'm out in nature than I can being shut up in a building with no windows. There's not many churches that really have a window that you can look out of, to see nature. But, it's just, I know where some of that thinking comes from is because there's a verse in Hebrew that says, "Forsake not the assembly," and that's actually the verse that got me going back to church. I was away from the church for a long time because I had a bad experience, and with that bad experience, then my ultimate divorce, I got away from the church, and it took me a long time to get back to going because I didn't feel like there was a place that I belonged, but I kept getting that verse going through my mind, "Forsake not the assembly." I mean, it kept going over and over in my mind to the point of I've got to go. And I'm not against going to a church building. I love going to the church that we attend. But there's times I'm like, let's get out and get in nature and see what God has created rather than sitting here in a building. Anyway, yeah. If y'all get a chance, look up that song. I could use a little church right now. And with that, yes, I believe we should, worship on Sundays. I do, but if you look around, every day is a day of worship. By seeing what has been created, seeing God's greatness in this world. But sorry, there's a fire truck passing. But with that said, I lost my train of thought. We should be worshiping God every day, not just on Sundays. Sunday morning or Sunday evening, or even on Wednesday evenings, where a lot of churches have. Those are the times churches are open, and I honestly feel like we should be worshiping Him daily, not weekly. So I know, like with where I go to church at, we don't use instrumental music in the worship service. But I don't have a problem with the instrumental music. Outside of Sunday morning or Sunday service, I'll listen to Christian music, the Christian alternative music all the time. And that's one of them things that there's people that I've grown up going to church around that strongly disagree that you shouldn't be listening to Christian music with instruments. And I don't understand that thinking, because everybody has a talent. And if your talent is playing music, why not use that talent to bring others to Christ? And the reason that they don't believe in using instrumental music is because there's no mention of instrumental music in the New Testament. All it says is to sing and make melody in your heart, singing songs and hymns and spiritual songs. So there's no reference to actually using music outside of the Old Testament. But how can we justify people with the talent of being able to play music and say, oh, you can't use that for God? I think that's ignorant. So, anyway, my words are struggling at the moment. These same people that don't agree with the instrumental music will sit there and listen to like rock or classic rock or country or any other style of music outside of Christian music. And I've told them, my thing is, I told them, I was like, well, if you end up in a wreck, if you end up dying in a wreck, what would you rather be listening to? Music singing about God and Jesus and having that on your mind, or listening to a song, say a country song about, oh, I love this bar, or the other style of music, this raunchy, really. What would you rather listen to? What would you rather have on your mind if you have a wreck and end up dying? What's the last thing you want to be listening to? So, anyway, I'm not going to get on my soapbox. So, I think that's about all I'm going to talk about for now. So, y'all have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Bye.